That brown bottle sitting in your medicine cabinet is more useful than half the stuff under your kitchen sink, and most people have no idea. They walk right past it every time they're standing in the cleaning aisle, spending $12 on a spray that's basically water, fragrance, and a tiny bit of the exact same active ingredient sitting in that dollar store bottle at home. I've cleaned kitchens for a living my whole adult life. Restaurants, hospitals, private homes, the works. And if there's one product people underestimate more than any other, it's 3% hydrogen peroxide. Not because it's some secret, it's not. It's because nobody ever showed them how to actually use it right. Here's the thing about peroxide that most people miss completely. It's an oxidizer, not a soap. That single fact changes how you use it, what it works on, and why it fails when people just splash it around and hope for the best. Used wrong, it does almost nothing. Used right, it strips stains off a cutting board that bleach won't touch, kills the exact bacteria that make your sponge smell like a gas station bathroom, and pulls grease off a range hood filter without you scrubbing until your shoulder gives out. I'm going to walk you through 15 ways I use this stuff in real kitchens, not theory I read somewhere. Every one of these has been tested on an actual job, not a countertop in a lab. Some of them will replace products you're currently paying real money for. A couple of them will fix problems you didn't even know how to fix. But before any of that works, you need to understand why the bottle you're using right now might already be dead. Yes, dead. Peroxide breaks down over time, and if yours has been sitting open on a shelf for 8 months, you might be cleaning with what's basically flavored water. That's the mistake that trips up almost everyone, and we're getting into it first. Problem. Walk into any home kitchen in America and you'll find the same pattern. A cutting board with dark stains ground into the grain that no amount of dish soap touches. A sponge that's been used for 3 weeks straight and smells sour the second it gets wet. A stainless steel sink with water spots and faint rust streaks under the faucet. A fridge with a smell that nobody can quite place, coming from somewhere near the door seal. None of these show up overnight. That's what makes them sneaky. The cutting board doesn't turn dark after one use. It's 40, 50 uses of raw chicken juice and beet juice and tomato seeds working their way into microscopic cuts in the wood or plastic. The sponge doesn't smell bad after one wash cycle in the sink. It's days of warm, wet food particle buildup breeding bacteria colonies that laugh at a squirt of dish soap. People notice the smell before they notice the cause. That's backwards, but it's how it always goes. You catch a whiff of something off when you open the fridge, or you go to wipe the counter and the sponge itself smells worse than what you're cleaning. By the time it's noticeable, the problem's already established. It's not a surface issue anymore. It's gone deep into whatever porous material it landed on. I've walked into commercial kitchens where the owner swears everything's clean, and I go straight to the cutting boards, flip them over, and there's the real story. Grooves packed with residue that's been sitting there so long it's practically fossilized. Home kitchens are the same, just slower. You don't have 40 covers a night wearing down your board, so it takes months instead of weeks. But it happens. The other piece nobody thinks about is that regular soap and water aren't built for this. Soap lifts grease and surface dirt. It was never designed to kill the bacteria hiding in the pores of a wood cutting board or the biofilm coating a sponge. So people keep washing the same way, keep getting the same disappointing result, and eventually just buy a new sponge or a new cutting board and call it maintenance. It's not maintenance, it's avoiding the actual fix. Why it happens. Here's the mechanism, and it's simpler than people expect. Bacteria and organic material, food particles, oils, proteins from raw meat, get trapped in tiny pores, scratches, and grooves that soap physically cannot reach. Dish soap works by breaking the surface tension of grease so it lifts away in water. That's a physical action. It doesn't kill anything, it just moves it. Wipe a countertop with soap and water and you haven't sanitized it, you've relocated the bacteria to your sponge or your rag. Peroxide works completely differently, and this is the part that took me years of actually using it to fully appreciate. It's an oxidizer. When it touches organic material, bacteria, mold, blood, protein stains, it breaks down and releases oxygen. That oxygen release is what does the work. It disrupts the cell walls of bacteria and breaks apart the molecular bonds holding a stain together. That's why you see fizzing when you pour it on a cut or on a stain. No fizz, no reaction, which is actually a useful way to tell if your bottle is still active or if it's gone flat. I learned this the hard way, not from a textbook. Years ago, I had 2 bottles of peroxide under a sink, one fresh and one that had been open for close to a year. Poured them both on the same stain, side by side. The old one did almost nothing. The new one fizzed immediately and pulled the stain out within a few minutes. Same product, same label, completely different result, because peroxide is unstable once the seal is broken, and it starts breaking down into plain water and oxygen the moment air and light get to it. That instability is also exactly why it's safer than bleach for a lot of kitchen jobs. Bleach is a much harsher chlorine-based oxidizer that leaves residue and fumes and can react badly with ammonia-based cleaners. Peroxide breaks down into water and oxygen. Nothing toxic left behind, which is part of why it's genuinely fine to use on cutting boards and food contact surfaces once it's finished reacting. Common mistakes. Mistake 1. Mixing it with vinegar in the same bottle. I see this all the time. People trying to make a super cleaner by combining peroxide and vinegar together in one spray bottle. Don't do this. When you mix them directly, you create peracetic acid, which is a much more corrosive compound that can irritate your eyes, your lungs, and your skin. It's used industrially in controlled, diluted forms, but what you're brewing in a kitchen spray bottle is not that. It's an uncontrolled reaction happening in a container that's about to sit under your sink for a week. If you want to use both, use them in sequence on the same surface with a rinse or a wipe down in between, never combined in one container. Mistake 2. Using an old, sun-exposed bottle and wondering why nothing's happening. This connects back to what I explained about the chemistry. Peroxide degrades from light exposure and from air getting into the bottle every time you open it. That's why it comes in a brown bottle in the first place. The manufacturer is trying to slow down the light exposure, not just for looks. People buy a bottle, use it twice, leave it on a windowsill or a bathroom shelf under a light fixture for 6 months, then pull it out and can't figure out why their hydrogen peroxide trick from some video didn't work. It's not the technique that failed, it's dead product. If you pour a little on a stain and it doesn't fizz at all, that bottle's not doing anything anymore. Replace it. Mistake 3. Pouring it straight onto stainless steel or certain stones and expecting instant miracles, then scrubbing aggressively when it doesn't happen fast enough. Peroxide needs contact time to work. It's not an instant reaction like some people expect from watching a 5-second clip online. On tougher stains, grease baked onto a range hood filter, deep-set stains on a cutting board, you need to let it sit. Sometimes 10 to 20 minutes for the oxidation to actually break the bonds down. People pour it on, wipe once after 30 seconds, see it didn't fully work, and then go grab a steel wool pad and start scrubbing hard enough to scratch the surface. That aggressive scrubbing is what actually damages stainless steel and cutting boards, not the peroxide. The peroxide was fine. It just needed more time and maybe a second application, not more force. There's a fourth thing I'll mention because it trips people up too. Using peroxide on natural stone counters like marble or certain granite without testing first. It's usually fine, but some stones are more porous and reactive than people expect, and a full-strength application left too long can lighten or etch a spot you didn't test first in an inconspicuous corner. Always test a small hidden area before you go all in on a stone counter. Alright, here's the actual method. I'm breaking this into stages by area of the kitchen because that's how I actually work a job. You don't jump around randomly, you work zone by zone so nothing gets missed and nothing gets cross-contaminated. Stage 1. Know your bottle before you start anything. Before you touch a single surface, check your peroxide. Pour a small amount onto a stain or a countertop. If it fizzes, it's active. If nothing happens, that bottle's dead, and everything else in this list will underperform. Buy a fresh bottle, keep it in its original brown container, keep the cap on tight, and store it somewhere dark and cool, not under a sunny window. A fresh bottle used correctly will outperform an expensive specialty cleaner 9 times out of 10 for these jobs. That's not an exaggeration, that's just what oxidation does that soap can't. Stage 2. Cutting boards and food prep surfaces. This is where most people are losing the battle, so we start here. Trick 1. Deep sanitizing a wood or plastic cutting board. After your normal wash, Pour peroxide straight onto the board, spread it with the back of a spoon or a clean cloth so it covers the whole surface, and let it sit for 10 minutes. You'll see light fizzing if there's bacteria present, which there almost always is on a board that's touched raw meat. Rinse with warm water and let it air dry standing up, not flat, so it doesn't sit in its own moisture. Trick 2. Pulling out stains from berries, tomato sauce, or turmeric. Same process, but let it sit longer, closer to 15 to 20 minutes, and if the stain is stubborn, sprinkle a little baking soda on top first, then pour the peroxide over it. You'll get a light foaming reaction. That combination lifts pigment stains that soap alone will never touch, because you're not just cleaning the surface, you're breaking down the pigment molecules themselves. Trick 3. The paste for really set-in stains. Mix baking soda with just enough peroxide to make a thick paste. Spread it directly on the stain and let it sit under plastic wrap for 30 minutes to keep it from drying out too fast. This is the move I use on boards that look like they've given up entirely. It works on countertops with stubborn stains too. Pro tip here, and this is something almost nobody talks about. After you sanitize a wood cutting board with peroxide, give it a light coat of food-grade mineral oil once it's fully dry. Peroxide can dry out wood grains slightly with repeated use, and that oil coat keeps the board from cracking over months of regular sanitizing. Skip this and you'll eventually see hairline cracks forming, which just become new hiding spots for bacteria. That one habit alone will double the life of a wood board. Stage 3. Sinks, sponges, and drains, where the real smell problems live. Trick 4. Sanitizing your sponge. Soak your sponge in a bowl of straight peroxide or a mix of peroxide and warm water for about 5 minutes. This kills the bacteria that cause that sour smell far more effectively than microwaving it, and it doesn't carry the fire risk that microwaving a dry or metal-containing sponge does. Do this 2 or 3 times a week and your sponge stops smelling entirely. Trick 5. Brightening a stainless steel sink. Pour peroxide directly onto the basin, let it sit 5 minutes, then scrub gently with a soft cloth in the direction of the grain lines you can usually see in the steel. Rinse and dry immediately with a towel. This last step matters more than people think, because stainless steel that air dries develops water spots and eventually those faint rust-colored streaks near the drain. Drying it by hand after every deep clean keeps that from building back up. Trick 6. Garbage disposal odor. Pour half a cup of peroxide down the disposal, let it sit for a few minutes, then run it with cold water. The oxidizing action breaks down the organic buildup clinging to the blades and the walls of the disposal chamber, which is what's actually causing that smell, not just food residue in some vague sense. There's one step people always skip here, and it's the one that actually solves the smell for good. Most people only treat the disposal itself and completely ignore the rubber splash guard sitting right above it. That thing traps as much gunk as the disposal does. Flip it up and wipe underneath it with a peroxide-soaked cloth every time you do this trick, or the smell just comes right back within a week. Stage 4. Appliances and food storage. Trick 7. Descaling and sanitizing a coffee maker or electric kettle. Run a cycle with a mix of half peroxide, half water through your coffee maker like you would with vinegar, followed by 2 full cycles of plain water to rinse it out completely. For a kettle, fill it with the same mix, let it sit for 20 minutes, then boil and dump it, followed by a rinse boil with plain water. This handles both the mineral scale and the bacterial buildup that straight vinegar alone doesn't fully address. Trick 8. Refrigerator interior and door seals. Wipe interior shelves and the rubber door gasket with a cloth dampened in peroxide. That door seal is where mold loves to hide, tucked in the folds where you can't easily see it, and it's usually the actual source of that smell nobody can place. Let it sit a couple minutes before wiping dry. Trick 9. Removing stains and smell from plastic food containers. Fill the stained container with peroxide or a peroxide and water mix for lighter stains. Let it sit in direct light for a few hours. Sunlight actually accelerates the oxidation on tomato-based stains. Then wash normally. This gets out staining that dish soap has never once touched. Trick 10. Cleaning a dish rack or silicone drying mat. These get slimy fast because they're always wet, and slime is bacterial buildup. Soak in a peroxide and water mix for 15 minutes, scrub with an old toothbrush in the corners and drain holes, then rinse well. Stage 5. The bigger, tougher jobs. Trick 11. Oven interior grease. Make a paste of baking soda and peroxide, applied generously to grease buildup, especially around the door seal and the bottom panel, and let it sit overnight if you can. In the morning, it wipes off with far less scrubbing than you'd expect because the paste has had hours to break down the baked-on grease bonds. Trick 12. Microwave steam clean. Microwave a bowl with peroxide and water together for a few minutes until it steams up the interior. Let it sit closed for 5 more minutes so the steam keeps working, then wipe down. Splattered food comes off almost on contact after this, no scraping required. Trick 13. Trash can interior. Spray the inside with peroxide, let it sit 10 minutes, scrub with a brush, rinse and let it air dry outside if you can. This handles the bacterial smell that builds up in the ridges and the bottom of the can, which soap and water alone barely touch. Trick 14. Grease film on cabinet fronts near the range. That slightly tacky film that builds up on cabinets near your range isn't just dust, it's grease vapor that's settled and hardened over months. Spray peroxide directly, let sit 5 minutes, then wipe with a microfiber cloth. Works especially well on painted cabinets where you don't want to use a harsh degreaser that could strip the finish. Trick 15. Range hood filter soak. This is the one that saves the most money because replacement filters aren't cheap and people throw them out constantly instead of cleaning them. Soak the metal filter in a basin with hot water, a squirt of dish soap, and a cup of peroxide for 30 minutes, then scrub with a stiff brush and rinse thoroughly. The combination breaks down baked-on grease that soap alone can sit against for an hour and barely touch. That's the full list, and every one of those replaces a product that's currently sitting in someone's cart at the store for $6, $8, $12 a bottle, doing a job this one bottle already does. That's 15 ways to get more use out of a bottle most people already own and mostly ignore. Test your bottle first, work the areas in order if you're doing a full kitchen reset, and don't skip that splash guard under your disposal. That one gets missed more than anything else on this list. If this helped, subscribe. It helps the channel more than you'd think, and it means you won't miss the next one. I want to know what's giving you the most trouble in your kitchen right now. Drop it in the comments and I'll tell you honestly whether peroxide is the right tool for it or whether you need something else entirely. Sometimes it's not the right fix, and I'd rather tell you that straight than sell you on something that won't work. If you're dealing with grout that's gone gray no matter how much you scrub, go watch the video I did on that. It walks through the exact paste ratio and technique that actually gets it back to looking new, and it uses a lot of what we covered here as the foundation. I'll see you in the next one.